Hi there, welcome to the Denimheads podcast. I'm Pasha.
And I'm Dariush.
And we thought to invite our friend Mike back for episode 8. What's going on, Mike?
Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me back. This is nice to be actually invited back. I didn't know how well we were going to do or I was going to do. You guys are really, I've been listening to you guys, and you guys are certainly getting better every week, but I hope I can keep up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we knew, we loved the episode, and then it seems as though the numbers are there too, to say that it's in the top.
That's cool.
Top 3 most downloaded episodes.
Exactly.
Shout out to Dutch Denim Repair for giving us a lot of exposure, free exposure. We do have cigars on occasion. We know you're Dariush is the person that kind of got me back into it a few summers ago. It was kind of a fun thing. I think it started really in Greece. We were at a wedding, a cousin's wedding, and then I had a Airbnb with a really nice balcony, gorgeous balcony, and I think Dariush brought some cigars from Switzerland, and we went through them pretty quickly. And then we ended up finding a place to go and pick up some more. I think it was definitely a Monte Cristo Open Master, if I'm not mistaken.
I think the Open Master, yes, that
is Monte Cristo, I think, right? Does that sound right?
I'm such an amateur. I don't know. I have to check.
I'm pretty sure it's a Monte Cristo Open Master. Or it's not a Cohiba, I know that.
Monte Cristo, yes.
Okay, good. I might remember some things. But
First fact check of this podcast.
Fact check.
I just pulled out my phone so I can check us in real time.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, there it is.
It was an Open Master, and then we had another one. We had a few that trip.
Some of those dog walkers.
The Hemingway short stories.
The short stories.
That's a gorgeous one. That's Have you ever had one, Mike?
I have not. No. It's funny you say you just got back in, because I was sort of super into it at, again, a younger age than I should have been, and then kind of stopped. And then, listen, if someone has one, I'll grab one, or if there's an event, I'll make sure I have, especially, wedding, like you said. But as far as being like a casual cigars, I just sort of fell out of it for a little bit. Now it's mostly for like weddings and golf outings. Yeah,
that sounds about right. I mean, for me, it was just sort of taking a break from life.
Mm-hmm.
It was just in a moment to kind of slow things down, enjoy a cigar over a period of about 45 minutes to an hour, and just, casual chit-chat with the cigar. Yeah. Hemingways are from a Dominican brand, Arturo Fuente, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Okay, that I'm familiar.
And so, they have a thing called the Hemingway short story, which is really small, and they colloquially call it a dog walker because that's what you would smoke over a period of about 20, 25 minutes while you're walking.
Oh, nice.
Dog.
Okay.
So that was definitely one. I got it at a place in the city, which unfortunately now has closed down. Nat Sherman on 42nd Street, and at that time.
Wait, that closed?
Yes.
Like forever or for COVID?
Forever. It's
get out of here.
So it used to be on the corner, the what would that be? The northwest corner of 42nd Street, 5th Avenue, across the street from the New York Public Library.
By the library, yeah.
And then they moved maybe about 10, 15 years ago, almost diagonal to on 42nd Street, about 5 or 6 shops in towards Madison Avenue. And I was there a number of times, but last I checked, I believe they closed down in September or October, which how I found out was I picked up a humidor there, LE Blue. Gorgeous humidor. I mean, highly, like some real, top of the food chain, as Dariush would like to say, type humidor. And I kind of emailed, or I wanted to contact them because they sold it to me for support, and they were the distributor here in New York. And I found out that they're closed. I needed some support. Actually, to tie it together, it's also where the importer is, because it's made in France, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually in like Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh yes, well, I mean, it's funny because I think Calibri, the lighter company,
also
is based in Providence, and a ton of jewelry because the river that runs through Providence was, I guess, early or late industrial revolution, beginning of American jewelry making, was very good for power at some point. There's a ton of like jewelry stuff, but it's funny you mentioned that because I had an issue with a Calibri lighter years ago, and they sent it back, fixed it, and yeah, that's I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I actually had issues with Calibri as well. Not there's nothing wrong with that company or anything, but it's just funny how we both had lighters, and I still have the lighter. But I sent it to a place now in Midtown Manhattan.
Okay.
And they replaced it for free. It's a gorgeous. I have to think about what the exact name is, and I can maybe look it up in a few. But it's a lighter like with jet fuel and propane, and with 3 flames because you want to make sure it's nice. And then those are the better ways to light it. I know Dariush likes to light it with a piece of wood.
Well, yeah.
When I can, I try.
And then it has like a cutter on the back, on the other end of it. So like, I know Dariush likes to do punch cuts. I'm more of a V cut type of guy. Do you have?
I was just gonna say that's something we should probably get. You know what the preferences, but the Nat Sherman closure. I wonder if that's because they're a brand. I mean, they sell their own cigars, their own everything. Yeah. That was one of the bigger names. So I wonder if that's, did the family or whoever want to be out? Is this a state of the world post-COVID, or do you think that people are getting so much online the same way we talked about, finding denim in another country or online retailers? I wonder why that happened.
I think it's just a perfect storm of just bad consequences. I mean, for example, I buy 90+% of my cigars when I buy cigars. It's online from a brand in Geneva, actually, Cigar One. Shout out to Cigar One with their great selection. That's where I get it. And then I think it's also just the idea of indoor ventilation, COVID, because a lot of these spots, like I would go into Nat Sherman and there's all these guys from out of town just kind of hanging out. I can't think of a hotel off the top of my head that's in the immediate vicinity of that area. Probably Times Square is the closest. And they would probably they couldn't see it functional. But I think it's just
right.
Was it just a shop, or it was a place where you could actually have a cigar, sit down?
Absolutely.
I think they had a little lounge area.
Oh yeah.
Most places
they had like multiple.
Most places in the States had areas. I mean, the humidor was the size of some Manhattan apartments. I mean, this was huge. A big place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they sold everything, like Pasha said, from start to finish: humidors, lighters, the whole deal.
Ashtrays,
whiskey.
I think it was. I think probably not, but I think it just cigars. But yeah, it was one of those sort of revered retailers. I was just checking on my phone and I can't find it, but I'm almost positive. Scent of a Woman, the Al Pacino movie where he plays the retired general. I think. I don't know. I want to listen. If you haven't seen it yet, it's 20 years old. But there's a scene where he needs to get rid of the kid that's with him, and I think he sends him to Nat Sherman and says, "Tell him Colonel's whatever sent you." So it was one of those places where like you or I could walk in, but they had big time regulars, and almost like the people that worked there were almost like a concierge. So it was a cool place. But back to the cutting, I always ever had just like a regular guillotine cutter. I think I prefer the V. I don't know why, but as I've gone older, I like that better.
Does it make it easier to smoke, the V cut?
I think it slows it down a little bit, so it's not as hot.
It slows it
sort
down.
of funnels out as opposed to the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Pasha mentioned 2 things that are very standout stories in my fledgling cigar life. One, Cigar One, the retailer, which I was totally unaware of, but have since had some show up at my office. Pasha and I guys work in the same field and live in the same area, and he needed to borrow a part on short notice, which I had. So I said, just come by the office, and I gave him what he needed to work on his patient the next day. And he goes, all right, I owe you one. And I probably wasn't paying attention. He goes, I'll get you a drink or maybe some cigars or something. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry. Like a week or two later, we get a box in the office, like with the Amazon deliveries, and it's addressed to me, and it's sent from a random name in Switzerland. And I open it, and it's like it's a 10-pack of Cuban Monte Cristos. And I'm saying, like, all right, what is this? And then my assistant, who I love to death, but borders on the skeptical, because it's now middle of COVID, and this was when they were getting seeds from China, and people were planting
That's
them.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot.
She's like, don't open it. I'm like, what do you don't open it? I want to smoke them. Don't open them. These are Cuban cigars. You can't get these. No. This you can't open them. So I'm like, all right, now I'm slightly worried. I'm thinking, we had talked watches on the last episode. I said, I know I'm on a lot of mailing lists for boutiques and stuff, and sometimes they send out nice gifts. But that's only if you've ever bought a major watch. So that was out.
Yeah.
I call, and then I said, all right, let me look into this. So I Google the name of the person who shipped it. Like it had someone who worked in the store. I tracked that down to the actual postal place in Geneva where it was dropped off.
Okay.
And then I'm like, all right, maybe this was supposed to be someone else. But then I'm starting thinking it's a scam, like where they send you the product and you use it, and then they send you the bill for $350.
Yeah.
Then I panic, and I have a good friend who does cybersecurity for a bank.
Oh shit. Okay.
I called him. I'm like, dude, just can you track this for me? He comes up with all the same stuff I came up with. And then I saw a couple of patients, and I'm like, Pasha's the only guy I know that could even make this happen. Let me just text him. And it turns out it was a thank you from him for bailing him out in a tight spot.
Nice.
Yeah, I still have a couple left, which I'm going to, as soon as it gets warm enough out, I'm going to go celebrate the birth of my daughter, because we had a baby girl.
Congrats.
December 30th.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I had one as soon as I got home, and then I had one, I picked up a watch for my 40th birthday, so I had that as a little celebration.
Nice.
When this
Actually, I think I saw that picture.
I had that on the
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. But like you said, it's a perfect 40 minutes, 45 minutes to tune out and just be, and not worry about anything. And I think you have to focus on a cigar. You can't just put it down, forget it. It might go out. There's a little bit of ritual to it.
Yeah.
So it draws your attention into itself in a good way, where you're not worried about whatever you were worried about before you sat down. So even without people, which I much prefer to be around people, and this would be an awesome 3 people to have a smoke with, but even if you're by yourself, it still works a little differently.
Yes, very much. Yeah. What do you have it with? Do you have it with something? A drink?
Yeah. Usually, I mean, if it's after dinner, I was always a bourbon guy, because my grandfather, my mom's dad, was a bourbon drinker, and he was of the opinion of if you want to have a drink with me, you're drinking what I'm drinking. So, in the States, you can't drink till you're 21, but he was very cool with, hey, I'm having a drink. Do you want to drink at like 17, 18-ish? Yeah. So, yeah. But then my dad and his best friend, who really turned us on to cigars, because I don't know if you guys got it outside the States, but there's that magazine, Cigar Aficionado.
I'm not familiar, but
I am, yeah, obviously. It's a big.
Okay. So it's the I don't know if it's the GQ, but it's the industry publication, but it's a lifestyle magazine. So it's everything. It's high-end vices. It's super fancy cars. It's men's suiting. It's cigars. It's wine. I think they've branched out into a wine magazine. It's watches. So in the early 90s, late 90s, when the cigar boom really hit in America, my dad was into it. They all played golf. It was always golf and cigars. He subscribed to that magazine, which 16-year-old me, like, literally was devouring and taking notes. Like, I used to know names, countries, ratings, just because I found it so fascinating. And I guess there was, like we talked about last time, the aspirational element of it. Like, someday I'll be able to have one of those or afford one of those. But that was a big. They were big. My dad was a big Scotch guy, so I guess if I was with my dad, it was a cigar and Scotch. My grandfather, it was bourbon. But yeah, usually that, or just even a coffee. Like if it's in the afternoon, we have a very small pool outside. I'll hang in the pool with a cigar and a coffee. But yeah, usually something with it for sure.
Usually something. That's cool.
What about you guys? Are you wine guys? Are you booze guys? What are you?
What would I have it? I mean, we would have it with a variety. Yeah, I think Scotch was something, but it would probably be a cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. What did we? I will have it.
What did
But
we
you're right.
do?
I have it with coffee too. Like literally, actually, probably about exactly a year ago, we had a it was like an 80 something degree Fahrenheit day on a Sunday in January here in New York.
Yes.
And I remember vividly going out to my patio and having a cigar. I'm like, life is good, in the words of Future. You know, it's just like, you know, life is good right now. It's 80 degrees on a Sunday in January. Let's celebrate. And I think I had probably my all-time favorite cigar, the Boulevard Libertador. That, to me, is the perfect. It's just, yeah, that's the pinnacle of cigar for me. I love that one.
Now, do you guys air or lean to the side of darker, lighter? Where are your preferences? Because I'm a very light. Yeah, me too.
I'm medium. I'm like medium-ish.
Yeah.
I've had some good ones. The darkest, I mean, we've had some, what are they called, Robustos? I mean, we've had some really, actually it was 2 years ago that Dariush and I went to, I was in Switzerland, that was 2 years ago, and we went to a shop in either Lausanne or Geneva, Switzerland, and
Lausanne.
It was Lausanne, and then we picked up, there was a special edition, 2018, Boulevard had like what's called a Libertador, and that was one of the darker ones. I remember we were like in his patio, and it's like freezing, and we were trying to smoke the cigar, and it was just like, it wasn't a good experience. But I circled back. I think the first time I ever had that particular cigar was at a La Casa del Habano in Montreal, the closest one that I know of to New York in terms of driving distance and everything, where you can go, and it's like it's an official like a Cuban shop. Or
really?
Casa del Habano is like basically the exporter for Cuban cigars, and so they will send it to. They have like outposts in a bunch of other cities. There's one actually in Toronto, on Yorkville, Dariush, next to the that Speakerine watch shop.
E-billion.
Exactly. E-billion. But the closest one I know of is in Montreal, and that was good. That was actually 2000. That was about 2 years ago. It was New Year's Eve or around New Year's that I was in Montreal, 2019.
So that was the first time you had the Libertador, because you put me on the Libertador.
The Sobrano. The Libertador, I think I probably would have had in 2018. I mean, that's roughly around the time that I came back to smoking cigars.
Okay.
But yeah, that was, if you ever get an opportunity, like anytime anybody gets out of, at least here in America, when you're out of the country, look for a Casa del Habano. And you could smoke indoors. And they have a great selection. They have exclusive stuff there that you can't get anywhere else. Like I've been to a handful. I think I've been to like Toronto. There's one in Playa del Carmen, like in the Quintana Roo, Cancun area of Mexico. I've been to the one in Munich. That's it's small, and you could smoke in that one, but it's a really tiny one. The one in Montreal is nice. It's like right next to like the Ritz-Carlton. They have like a back room with a bar. I think you have to have like what did I have? I've probably had like a Moscow Mule or something like that. I feel like that's a great.
Oh, nice.
That's a great drink to have.
Because there's some spice in there, probably, right? I'm sure that picks up on little back notes on a cigar.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think for me, you talk about like whiskey and bourbon. I'm probably along the gin and rum side of things. That's probably my favorites. Like I can do anything almost rum based. Which
I always assumed, based on location of production, is the more traditional pairing.
Exactly.
But I think in the States in the 90s during that boom, rum was not nearly as popular. And I think Scotch was the high-end drink that ended up being paired. Probably.
I think so. I think like a blue label, black label, whatever, on the rocks with the cigar is just sort of...
It's a good look. It makes for a good photo, probably, right? I mean, there's that.
With a nice watch on. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. But
Um,
it's one of my more favorite. It's right. My dad smokes dark stuff. He loves the Excaliburs. He likes the Romeos, but I tend to go lighter. Um, but I always remember starting with heavy stuff because in those magazines, Schwarzenegger, obviously
yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is a huge
Yeah.
cigar proponent, and he
Stallone.
always
Yeah, all those
right.
guys.
And Arnold was always in all the Punch ads, and Punch has a super cool logo. So I guess as when I was younger, I was like, oh, that looks pretty interesting. And it was always this, massive close up of Arnold with this big cloud of smoke, and those were always way too heavy. I think CAO makes some nice stuff, but I think the CAO Italia is the only cigar I've ever had that made me literally lightheaded. Like I couldn't finish it
Okay.
because it was just so black and so heavy. I really like Macanudo's stuff. I think it's either the Cafe or the Hampton Court. I forget the name, but I like those on the lighter end. And there are a lot of companies in the States that have like mail order catalogs. So I still get those because whenever I'm going golfing, I'll order a bunch. So I feel like I stay up on it through there. I mean, there's rating systems. It seems like everything is always in the 90s that they're selling anyway, but I don't know if I can really tell. I think it's more about company and moment and memory at some point. Once you get into that mid 90s level of cigar, they're all pretty good. I think the stuff that Pasha was mentioning is probably well above that. But for like a solid cigar in a good place is probably mostly what I'm doing.
There's a lot of, there's a lot of information out there. There's a ton of cigar YouTubers that I would watch.
Yeah.
None right now come to mind, but like I will watch reviews of cigars and sort of a number of them, read up on them. Cigar Aficionado, of course, is a big one. I'll look at the ratings, and that's how I sort of learn to educate myself a little bit on these things. And yeah, there's a lot of good information out there. It's good stuff. But I know Dariush gets a little lightheaded with some of these cigars.
Yeah, I have
Not because he's a lightweight, but I think he has a very
no, it's
refined
just
palate.
you know what? I was trying to think about that this afternoon because I knew that's what we would talk about, and I remember I've been smoking cigars maybe for the last 7, 8 years, I want to say, and it was only maybe
Side note, you have
yeah.
a good picture of a. Maybe we could put that up as the avatar for the thumbnail. You have a great picture, if I'm not mistaken, smoking a cigar with a Mr. Pierce Brosnan, don't you?
We're not smoking. I have a good picture with him, but we're not smoking the cigar.
Really? I
wish.
thought there's a cigar in your mouth, or in his. I could be
Really?
wrong.
I gotta check. I gotta
Yeah.
check in my celebrities pictures.
Dive into that archives
exactly.
folder. Yeah.
I'll check. Maybe there was a cigar. I don't know.
Oh, you just look like Hannibal, not Hannibal Buress, but Hannibal from A-Team.
That's another picture. That's not with Pierce Brosnan, but I know which picture
Is that
you're
right?
talking about.
Okay,
Yes,
maybe
yes.
I'm getting them conflated. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Well, that's a
Yeah. But yeah, I get lightheaded, and yeah, I was smoking cigars for the last maybe 7, 8 years, and 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I got one super super dizzy, super sick because of one cigar. I don't know what happened. I had to lie down on my couch, wait it out for an hour, and since that day, I haven't been really comfortable. I do smoke sometimes, like those Bolivars. I can enjoy the first half, maybe at the max, and then I have to put it out because it is just too strong for me. But those the dog walkers, the short stories, or a open master, that's fine too. But I have to be I have to be careful, when I smoke, full stomach, empty stomach. I gotta be. I don't know. It wasn't the case before, and that happened to me once, and it was a disaster that day. And it's weird.
Yeah, you remember
Yeah.
it. Yeah, your sort of body has that not muscle memory, but yeah, you certainly. I mean, people is like that with alcohol issues too, right? I mean, I know people that won't look at a bottle of tequila
Yeah.
for the same
And
reason.
it's weird because
I've
I
had-
would
yeah.
love to be able to smoke not a lot more. I wasn't smoking like that, but it was just that peace of mind. You can enjoy a cigar with a nice drink, and now I have to be cautious at the least. Yeah.
Right.
But it's fine. It's fine. I'm just like you. You were talking about, it's the experience, the people. Also here, okay, now it's winter. I'm not even thinking about smoking a cigar. But May,
Right.
June, July, of course. End of the day, you have a nice drink. You put on, some music
Hmm.
and you relax, of course, now it's the mood is different, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially here, because New York, you can't smoke in. Not that I was smoking inside, but like when you went
Hmm.
out, you can't smoke inside in New York anymore. I don't know how it's like
It's the
in
same. No, you
Switzerland, but
can't.
it's right.
You can get
So
grandfathered, but there's
it's
certain spots which I knew we were going to get to, and I was
yes,
hoping we'd get to, I should say. There are certain spots here in New York you can smoke, and probably we
if it's a
had to.
club,
Yeah, club.
We
right?
had to have
You took us to a
Yeah.
right
place,
Carnegie
Hudson
Club.
Bar and Books. No, we went to Hudson Bar and Books once after a nice steak night. I think you engineered that trip too.
Hudson Bar
I'm
and
hoping
Books
you did.
we've done. Actually,
Yes.
Dariush and I have gone there, and maybe he'll tell that story of this one encounter a little over 10 years
Yeah.
ago. We did this.
I don't
and
think
I'll
I'll
let
tell
him
that
tell
story
quick.
today, but
No, it's a great story. Basically, we were at a cigar bar, and there was like these really attractive girls next to us, and we offered to send them drinks, but they
Champagne.
were not. They were actually having a fight with each other, and it was just
Yeah.
ultra
Oh.
awkward. But that was
Very awkward.
Hudson Bar and Books has like James Bond going in the background, which is great.
Nice place.
Yeah.
I could have sworn we've been to Carnegie Club on 56th Street between 6th and 7th Avenue, which it had like the Sinatra.
It's possible. I know I've been to another lounge with you.
Oh, you know
after
what?
Dinner.
You
I
might not have.
I just don't
you
remember
missed
the.
that one. You may have missed that one
Okay.
because I know we went with Christian and a few other people, and then we've been to a place called Bar Tabac in Soho on like Watt Street.
That's yes.
That we also have been. We've been to about, actually, I think that's pretty much all the major ones
Yeah.
that we've ever been to. That's great. Those places are
The
awesome.
cool thing about Hudson Bar and Books, which was a great place to be with, but I feel like it was a Tuesday, but they do sort of the highest end version of happy hour that I've ever seen, where very, very exclusive top shelf liquors at night, like not during the 5 to 7 after work crowd, are half price.
Okay.
So that like
I don't remember
you
that,
know,
but you're right. It
the
sounds true.
75. Yeah.
It was after we went to probably Old
Right, like the-
Homestead, because that was right there. That's the only steakhouse that I could think of in that immediate.
Right. So $7,500 pours are now 40. So it's like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I guess I'm going to do this now with my friends and a nice cigar. So it was a nice way to sort of taste things that you wouldn't usually be able to. I always remember that about that place. I always send a lot of people there that are going to be in the city. I hope they're still. I mean, I feel like we just talked about Nat Sherman closing. I hope places like that can make it.
It's tough. I know. I hope so
Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how. If you're, I guess, if you're sitting in a room full of cigar smoke, you're not really of the mind to worry about coronavirus. I mean,
True.
you're inhaling all of
True.
that cigar smoke
Right.
anyway. So
Yeah,
I don't think you really.
that's
give a
very true.
Yeah.
hoot
Yes.
About this sort of
True.
stuff. Hopefully, I mean,
I agree.
at least let's hope they're still around. I mean, yeah, there's a good number of places. But it's a good gift too. Cigars are a great gift to give
Yes.
people. You know, you can put it in a nice like Boveda pack, with like a one cigar bag, a little
Yeah.
humidor bag with like a. Are you loyal to like? Have you heard of Boveda packs, Mike?
I've not. No. What's that?
So those are like
School me.
these little packets
Mhm.
that do humidity control.
Oh no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
You throw it in there and it has like 68%, I think, is like the Cuban level. You want it to be a little bit warmer, around 72 for Dominican and stuff. You season, if you get a humidor, you season it at like 84%. You put about 6 or so, depending upon
Yeah.
the size of your humidor. You put a bunch of them to season it.
Okay.
For 2
Yeah, I'm
weeks.
checking it out now.
Yeah. Those are really good. That's like a game changer, one of those things. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I have a similar jar. Like I have a real cheap humidor that just I probably should get a nicer one when I'm have like a place to put it. Like it's just sitting on my baker's rack in my kitchen. But I have like a jar that I think does similar. But these look pretty cool because you can throw them in
Anything.
a bet. Like it's funny. It's funny you mentioned this because like for golf outings or when we were younger, it was always like a Ziploc bag and a wet sponge or something, or just the very lo-fi version of what those have now been invented to do.
Yeah. It's.
But yeah, I think you said cool. It's a good gift. I think it's a good bonding. Like I'll never go to a round of golf or a wedding or a bachelor. Like I'm always bringing cigars because I think one, they should be there for occasions like that, and two, it's a good conversation starter. It's a good bond of new people. Like I think it works well in a situation where you're meeting new people, and it works well where it's, I've known you for 10 years and we're
Yeah.
catching up. I think universal is probably an overused word, but I think it does both.
Yeah, I think it's it goes. It's nice. It's good.
And the devices, like you just said, those humidor packs. With golf, there are so many devices to hold the cigar, because it's tough to manage your swing with holding the cigar and everything. So you can balance it gently on something that you stick in the ground. You can clip it to the cart. There are always these new things to protect your cigar, because you don't want to just throw it down in the grass because of the chemicals and then pick it back up. But
yeah, I think almost any image of Michael Jordan is with the
Yeah,
cigar in his
true.
mouth
Right?
and swinging a club.
Yeah.
All the way back to Last Dance. I mean, yeah, it's good stuff.
It's
know.
the other aspect that I enjoy a lot is, for example, we briefly talked about this vacation we did, and we enjoyed a few cigars because you had that Airbnb that had this huge balcony. But there was a time where every summer, whenever I was going somewhere for the day, going to the beach, going to for a walk in the forest or something, you always try to remember and have your
Mhm.
pack with you, so you have a little cigar, you have something that you're going to be enjoying during
Yes.
the day, whether you're by the water in the forest with just friends, or just anything. You just have it in the car. I used to have it in my car at all time, and I know whenever there's a good occasion that presents itself, you can enjoy it. It's not only a
Mhm.
social thing, but you're gonna enjoy the moment wherever you are, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my favorite balcony cigar experiences is actually myself, my dad, my best friend, and his dad, who passed away about a year or two ago. We always vacationed together. They had a place in Myrtle Beach, which is a big tourist golf destination, and then we had timeshares where you sort of exchange for different hotels in Hilton Head, South Carolina, which is a nice golf tennis place. And our property where we had a nice balcony, and I remember it was the four of us. And my friend Tim's dad was into Balvenie at that point, Scotch, and he had gotten this bottle of this double aged in two different woods, and he just kind of put it on the table, and the four of us sat out there with most of that bottle of Scotch and a couple of real nice cigars, and that was really one of the ones I'll never forget. And I definitely have labels from occasions kicking around, probably stuck in my wallet somewhere, that have dates on them from like Father's Days at my uncle's house, or just the memory of it is nice to keep. And you guys were talking about the card that you can get in your jeans to kind of memorialize when and where. I've always found that same like a concert ticket, I'll always write the date on the back of a label, just to try to at least remember when, and then trigger something.
I think anybody that's ever smoked a cigar has to have at least one positive memory, or like one really special memory attributed to that cigar. I mean, depending upon the number, everybody has like really good memories with it, because again, it's just something that it works. It's like synergistic with just nice memories, and yeah, it's good stuff.
Because it slows everything down. That's probably my favorite memory. My favorite story, though, is, other than the Cubans via Switzerland showing up at my office, my senior prom in high school. So in America, there are your graduation. I don't know if they do this elsewhere. All right, so tuxedos, ball gowns, the whole thing. And my school did it at the Marriott Marquis, which is a very big, very fancy hotel in Times Square in Manhattan. So everyone's in their limos and their tuxedos, and we show up. And when you walk into a hotel that has conferences, they have sort of the board of conferences. So it was like, high school prom, whatever, 26th floor, cigar aficionado, 6th annual smokers night. So now we're looking at the sign, we're looking at each other, we're in tuxedos. We're like, all right, we can probably blend. So we run down there and just sort of walk in and it was like just bags, like, hey, try this, have a shot of this Scotch, sample this rum. So we did like the one run through of the floor, like in Jerry Maguire, from start to finish, and left with, got a couple of drinks in us and a really nice bag of giveaway cigars to bring back down to the prom for the after party. Yeah, it was the craziest thing, because it should never have happened, but to have those two places in the same time and to be dressed well enough to sneak in was like chance of a lifetime at 17, right? It was great. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So so post free cigars and booze of that prom, we ended up at a Club Exit, which was this legendary New York nightclub. And then Pasha was saying that's a big party spot for American Iranians. So go ahead, get back to
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just saying that, like the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve are the two biggest concert nights among Persians, because that's like the quietest night. So I guess that's the time where clubs are available and they want to, sort of make a little bit of money. So Club Exit was always the place in New York that would have a Persian concert, an Iranian concert the night before Thanksgiving.
Now you're
They
saying
would all go
concert
there.
as in performance or like a club event?
Yeah.
Like an actual
A little bit of everything. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
cool.
mean, there was people, there was like our version of entertainers, and they were singing. There was like 5-6 performers
That's
that
amazing.
night, like, performing. It's good. It's like a dance party. It was cool. It was definitely a lot of fun. This is like in the 90s and 2000s. I actually went to high school not that far away. Probably like in the Upper West Side. And stuff,
Okay.
Club, Club Exit, was that where we went together, Pasha? No.
When it's possible. When?
When? During one of the, many times.
It depends on the year though, because those
that you
clubs
talking about-
changed names so many times.
Okay.
And there was,
No,
I
I
don't know if
think
it
we
still
went
is.
to meatpacking.
Okay.
We went
Okay.
to like Kiss and Fly. Are you talking about that
Kiss
night with
and
the
Fly.
DJ? Was it like DJ Khaled night?
Yeah,
with like,
exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
That
We
was-
actually bumped into like who was it? Mano, who's a Brooklyn
Yes.
rapper. I remember like driving, like screaming his name out, and he was yeah, it
Yes.
was whatever.
No
We
way.
always have a fun night in New York City. Yeah.
Always.
saying?
Artichoke. Artichoke.
Artichoke pizza.
Yeah, we
Pizza,
stopped
yeah.
through 'em. Yeah.
Oh, Posh, you did the right thing by your cousin when you took him out here. Good for you.
Oh yeah.
The whole
Yeah,
experience.
Nice.
the
Good,
whole
good, good.
experience. Yeah.
Did you get him to Gray's
like 3 in
Papaya
the
like
morning.
3 hours after that for a hot dog? The recession
I think
special.
we were
on
with
the way
somebody
home.
from San Francisco, so they were having they couldn't keep up, so we just called it a night. I think at like 4 or 5.
Oh, that's too much. God, I miss one. I'm too old to
Oh,
do
that's
that now, but two, you can't do that
Yeah.
now. Nothing is open.
No.
It's like I would to go back and be able to have one of those nights.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Let me just go back a little bit. Something we didn't talk about, and that was something that I enjoyed a lot, is having a cigar with a beer. So I don't know if that's something you guys have
Really?
done. Yeah.
Actually,
I'm-
yeah. Cigar with a beer is something I have done too a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a beer guy, to be honest. I mean, but again, you know what? On the golf course, though, yes, because that, when you golf, they have a terrible name for it because it's the cart girl, but it's basically at all golf courses. So if you're playing forward, you're driving in your cart,
Okay.
and then they send what is usually a very attractive college-age girl with a cart that has snacks and drinks and everything, and they drive the other way, so they will run into you.
Gotcha.
And that's where you can always that's where you get your beers and your snacks and your Gatorades. So yes, so probably those have been very good cold beers on hot days with cigars on a course. But I think if I'm at home, I'm going for something more out of my liquor cabinet, just based on
Yeah.
I'm more of a liquor drinker than a beer drinker. But yeah, I could see that, especially being a summer thing. Yeah, like
Yeah.
a nice out on the porch. That's something.
I think for me, it's just like thirst quenching
Mhm.
carbonation.
Yep.
Sometimes it really hits the spot. Yeah, in the evening, maybe something a little more of a cocktail and stuff. But in the
Now,
daytime,
do you guys know enough about the pairings of things, or like I always find when people are telling me about wines, they're talking about notes of this and that. I am not either sophisticated enough or don't have enough experience to pick up that or tell you that. I can say I
Darius
like.
is a champagne expert. I know
Oh,
that.
all right. So you have at least the background or the vocabulary
I
to talk about tasting notes.
You know what they say, fake it till you make it. So sometimes I fake it,
Mhm.
and sometimes
Yeah.
I am able to taste something and tell, different.
Mhm.
I can do that with coffee. I
Yeah?
actually can
Yeah.
do that with coffee.
Okay.
The secret I think to coffee is you got to wait for it to settle a little bit. You got to wait, kind of like tea.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want it to sort of you want it to cool a little bit, because anything that is all coffee for the most part tastes the same when it's really hot.
Okay.
It's once it starts to cool a little bit, that those tasting notes
Okay.
sort of come out, and that's very true.
All right.
I'm able to do that with coffee, and that took a number of years of drinking. Like it took me about, I don't know, 3 to 5 years for me to really develop that. By no means am I a coffee expert, but you can also start to tell the difference between Dunkin' Donuts,
Right.
gas station coffee,
Yeah.
and even Starbucks coffee. Starbucks coffee from, like, let's say the counterculture or wherever. There's certain brands. You can tell.
Right. And that's the thing. I know I can tell good versus bad or like versus dislike. But on the other stuff, like Dario said, you fake it till you make it. I will, if I'm going to be around where these are being discussed, or if I'm buying something, I will study up on it almost to sort of teach myself. Like, all right, the book said it should taste like this. Let me look for that, or let me try to find. But I've been around people that are like, oh yeah, there's the spice or the leather or the earth. Always makes me fucking crazy because, like, to me, earth is dirt, but earthy is always thrown around there. But I'm
not like that with, like, oysters, because oysters tell you that too, and I can't.
Yes.
I can kind of tell the difference between East Coast and West Coast oysters, but
okay. I'm always amazed by people that
right.
can do that. I'm always amazed by chefs that can do that, but then I watch a lot of cooking competition shows like Top Chef and all that, and they're always outside having a cigarette on their break, which I'm not judging. I just feel like, wouldn't that diminish your ability to taste or to nuance with all that heat and smoke? But apparently it doesn't. I mean, I've seen people do the blind taste test on these competitions and just nail it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a DNA thing. Either you have those receptors and you can sense those chemicals, or you can't, or just study.
It's a muscle that you train, probably.
Right? Yeah.
It has to be, because it has to be just like some pathway in your brain that starts, and it just gets reinforced each and every time.
But
there's a great Instagram account I just found. It's called The Unemployed Wine Guy, and he's a trained sommelier.
Okay.
And it's a comedy, and he's testing and giving you notes on the worst, most low-end American wine coolers.
Oh, okay.
No, like MD 2020 and Franzia.
Oh, okay.
And then he does a whole thing on, like, malt liquors like Thunderbird and Old English. I mean, if you've ever had that stuff, which is like the lowest of the low end beer that you can get anywhere, it's funny to see someone who knows these words using them on these things. So yes, check out The Unemployed Wine Guy, which I just found this week from a friend.
Oh,
but for cigars, I've read a bunch of stuff. Whenever I was, ordering online, and you're looking for something light, something, I don't know. You look for those type of words, but I have to admit, I was never really able to find or to understand those differences. I would go for light versus super powerful stuff.
Agreed.
That's as far as I can go, unfortunately, because I haven't been smoking that much. So, but for cigars, I guess it's a whole other, world. If you're able to tell,
I think the words are all the same, but yes, the ability to taste it. But I know that I try to train myself that I'll read those notes beforehand and look for them. If that
makes sense. Of course.
I don't know if I'm biasing myself. And I think the marketing around cigars always fascinated me. I think it's sort of, you're always selling aspirations, but it's very much to do with free time because you've made it pretty much. Like, I can afford to put my feet up on the rail of this super expensive yacht while someone else sails it and cooks, and have this cigar, or the veranda, this seventh balcony to the left of my home overlooking the lake. I think there's always a bit of that, or at least there is for me, of a little distillation of that life for 5 minutes for a normal person.
Yeah, because it's a real timeout, as you said in the beginning. You can't just smoke a cigar, check your email, write emails, and then do a bit of work and everything. That's just not how it goes. I mean, for me at least, and I guess for you guys too. So yeah, it does bring that little break, and it's kind of intense because you want to enjoy it and you have to smoke it. It requires a bit of effort, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You
Anybody
can't
have
rush
any of
through
those
it. You have
those
to.
products to save them? Like you can clip them and then use them again. I feel like I've never
I've never done that.
tried
No.
that, but I feel like
No.
I'm gonna have it. I know I'm gonna make time to have it, and again maybe because we don't smoke as much, where we would be potentially interrupted. But I never really saw the benefit of that for what my needs.
See, I find like I can't even manage my own inventory. I'll see something, I'll buy it, I'll throw it in the humidor, and I'm hoping I'll get to it. Like I have
Mhm.
stuff that's probably a number of years old that's just sitting up there, and I have to. That's the other thing. Maintenance
Yes.
of a humidor is tough. Like I have a couple gallons of distilled water because you got to put it in. Even then, that's kind of why I contacted or wanted to contact Nat Sherman, was just to see if they could help me out, help me recalibrate the humidor, because the Boveda packs are great because of that. It's maintenance free.
Yeah.
But if you have like a real traditional humidor that gets a great seal, you have to season it really well, and you have to maintain the humidity in it, non-refrigerated.
It's just like
Yeah, I
denim.
struggle
You
with
have to
that.
commit, because
Mhm.
otherwise it's
Yes.
just not happening.
You brought it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody ever lost a good one? Like, have you had one that you were saving and then either it dried out or you forgot to put the water in the humidor? I mean, I've certainly had that happen,
Dried out,
unfortunately.
yes.
Because I have a lower end humidor which I need to upgrade, but like left someone something from a wedding or something that didn't get to during wherever I was. I was like, oh, I'll use it. I'll save it for next time. And then now it's next summer. It's like, oh my God, this is like, it's flaking apart
it's
as
gone,
I take the
yeah.
wrapper off and just,
Multiple times.
You could save them though. There's ways.
I've
It's
heard
tough,
that's
but you can do it. It just takes a lot of time.
right. I heard you have to like position it in a certain place in the humidor and then you bring it back up. I've seen people put them in the fridge for a couple of days. I've always heard of these wives' tales or sort of fixes, but I've never been able to accomplish it.
I mean,
Because if there's like a little bit of mold, you just take like a damp towel and you can kind of just gently massage it off.
Okay.
From what I remember.
yeah, but it's never really the same. When you cut it, then you'll see
No.
what really happened to it. So that's
Mm-hmm.
usually if it's been dried once, it's kind of
That's
tough
it,
to
right?
bring it back. I don't know. That's what I think. Something that I was.
And then you have that
Oh yeah,
guilt.
definitely. Something that I have always felt is, for example, there's this really nice shop not too far from my office. So every time I show up there, we go into the walk-in humidor. So the smell is amazing. That's what brings me back every time, is the smell. And maybe I'm too much of a beginner with cigars that I don't really understand it, but somehow I always thought that, okay, I want to buy a few cigars because I want to get that smell again. But when you actually smoke it, you never get that smell or that taste or
No.
whatever it is that you smell when you walk inside a walk-in humidor in a shop or something. It's really amazing because you get, it's really a special smell. But I never really got that back when I was smoking mine or just enjoying that.
Right. You're right. Yeah, and I get there's a very big difference, and maybe because it's the
Yeah,
amount
of course, the
of
quantity.
tobacco in a room, right? And maybe just because it does change state so much between sitting and being lit. But I know exactly that sense that you're saying. It's like a cool, almost sweet, and it's different than the smoke
Yeah.
that comes out of it.
Because like, okay, I could smoke that, like I could I know I always need the lighter ones, but I know if somehow somebody was to find a way to make a cigar that kind of that gives you that smell, that that walk-in humidor shop smell that you get, I could enjoy that very much without the whole cigar culture, the lore, the everything that goes with it. I would just enjoy it as it is.
Right?
There's a lot of candles that do a good job.
Posh, I was just gonna say that
Yeah.
there's got to be somebody
There is.
that figured out a
Of
candle
course.
that smells like a humidor.
There's a
Yeah.
couple. There's that I know of. The big one, the best one that I know of, and truly, like, again, top of the food chain. Help me out with the pronunciation.
Cire Trudon.
Mr. Darish.
Sir Trudon.
Exactly.
Ah, you nailed it.
Sir Trudon's Eresto. Eresto,
Yeah.
if you ever get a chance, I know they have, they definitely have a shop or two, and you could actually even buy it at Bloomingdale's. It's a little bit pricey. It's like $100, $105 for like a medium-sized candle, but that's
it's
good.
very good.
I mean, it's that place. That's another that could be another like topic. Candles and certain aromatherapy, but they have like room sprays. And,
Yeah, but then again, you go back to
Anyway.
this thing you enjoy so much is you take your cigar, you smell it a little bit, you're gonna cut it,
Of
you want to
course.
light it, you put your music on. When you have a candle on your table, okay, it's there, it smells nice, but the whole experience, it's missing.
I get it, and that's why, like when you were talking about this, that's why in some ways it's a blessing that these sort of places are like specifically the Casa del Habanos are not in the U.S. You kind of attribute it to like a vacation, and so I think it's nice to go on vacation, visit one of these spots, and then it just reinforces a positive vibe of this vacation and that smell that's attributed to it, and you remember that smell a lot of times. So I think it's necessary. I think every person remembers when they walk into a humidor. That scent. Like I'm even trying to like purchase leather armchairs and stuff just to really build it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now I think, right, Pasha, we can now get Cuban cigars in the States. Has that embargo been lifted? Is that true? I've thought I read that, but I've never seen them. Does anybody know?
So I know we can receive up to a certain amount. Like I get it. That's how we got it from Switzerland. But
there's no store. Like I can't drive into the city and grab it, right? We're not at that point yet.
No, you can't buy Cubans just yet. But you may come new administration.
Right.
But I think you can definitely buy and bring with you up to a certain amount. Each person, the numbers are not completely. I don't know. I don't think it's enforced for one thing, but
I doubt it. No, and that was always a big thing on island vacations. Like when we went on spring break or when we went anywhere, it was always like you had to bring back cigars. And I remember going to Jamaica in college, and friends were, switching labels and unwrapping things just to make sure they came through customs without a hitch. I mean, it never ended up being a problem. I'm assuming it could be at some point, or maybe not anymore. But I remember that was always part of the ritual of being in another country, especially a beach country.
Absolutely.
Go find a cigar store and bring some nice stuff back home for everybody.
But it really matters where you buy it too. Like buying it at like some bodega,
right?
Where they don't do a good job of managing the humidor, or it's like next to like Coca-Cola.
Right, it's not worth it.
I remember you're wasting your money.
We went to Aruba, I think 2015 or 2014, and I found there was a nice enough shop near we stayed in a Marriott that was sort of on that same strip as the Ritz that they had just built. There was a nice little shop there, and then I went to a really good one in town that had.
Is that like Orangestad or Orangestad?
Orangestad, yeah. So that was right by the cruise terminal was the better shop, and that was a nice little sunset cigar with a pina colada type of move. That was a nice, memorable one as well. But yeah, bringing them home it's a little nerve wracking, but like in the grand scheme of international smuggling, I think my 10 Romeos were not going to cause a problem, No,
because it's for personal consumption. Again, as long as you're buying enough that it makes sense that it's for personal consumption as opposed to like
distribution.
Exactly. That's where they'll be real upset. But you can pick it up for even like via land. You can again Canada. It's a little bit pricier, but you can. I don't think it would have been a problem to buy something from like let's say Montreal or something and drive it in, because Montreal is about a 4 or 5 hour drive.
That's not bad.
No.
I do remember the recommendations though from my wife, because she did buy a very nice bag for herself down there, was to wear it home.
Okay.
Yeah.
And say that it was yours that you came with, instead of having to declare, because the taxes on the bag. That was
I think Darius probably knows this about like watches.
Yeah.
Right, same thing. Right, you mail the boxes and you wear it home on your arm or your wrist or whatever.
Unless you have taxes that you can actually get back depending on which side you are and where you're going. So that depends. But yeah.
yeah, for us coming back to New York, it was better to save on it. So, and she got to show her new bag off at the airport, so she was thrilled. Yeah,
Awesome.
So, yeah, so that worked out. That was another good. You talked about good customer service with Calibri. This was it was a Louis Vuitton bag that she wanted, and it was great. And after a year or two, something ripped, like the finishing on the monogram ripped. And I took her to the store in Short Hills, which is a pretty high-end retail mall in New Jersey. And of course, it was Mother's Day weekend. I don't know why I thought this would be a good idea to go, but we had the time, and I wanted her to have the bag repaired. And the store was an absolute zoo. People were up there, just, I'll take that one and that one. Give me that.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, so, and she doesn't do crowds, my wife. She's not a good in a crowd. She just shuts down. So I grabbed the security guard. I'm like, listen, pal, find me a manager. We have an issue here. This woman literally like hopped over the counter the way you would in a bar scene. What happened? I said, we bought this a year or two ago. We bought it in Aruba. There's a rip in the bag. She goes, that is not acceptable. I'm swamped. She goes, give me the bag. Give me your name. I will call you on Monday. I was like, okay. Handed it to her. The follow-up, the customer service, the options for repair and replace were, worth what I paid for it, but so nice to have that, which you don't always get in retail customer service. But this person was great. Sadly, the bag wasn't manufactured anymore. They basically said, come to the store, we'll credit you whatever you paid and pick out whatever you want. And if there's a difference, just pay the difference and go. So it was a very nice experience. Nice. I'm sorry I got off track there with smuggling cigars, but yes, customer service is still alive and well in certain places.
Well, yeah, it's still in denim as well.
Yep, good. Good.
We've had some pretty good experiences.
Nice.
But anyway, all right. So we'll tie a bow on this bad boy.
Yeah.
It's been great having you on, Mike. We'll probably do this once again in another few more episodes. We'll see.
I'd be happy to. This is fun. This is fun to talk with you guys. Darish, I mentioned this to Pasha. It was amazing to be able to meet or make a new friend in quarantine.
Likewise.
You can't go out and meet people anymore. So to run into somebody who has similar experiences, who's on the other side of the world, and be able to make a relationship, nice. That's been super cool. I love hearing myself talk, so I don't know if everybody else does.
People enjoy it.
Happy to hear this stuff once you guys put it out. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Cool.
We love having you on.
All right, awesome.
Until the next time, people. This is Pasha.
This is Dariush signing out, and see you guys soon.
Wait. Before we do that, if you have any questions or comments, email us, thedenimheads@gmail.com. And I don't think we've ever really talked about our IG profile. What is it, Dariush?
Obviously_blue.
There you go.
Nice. I like that.
Thanks.
Shout out to Dutch Denim again for all of the support.
The Dutch
this past
listeners, we love you guys.
Yeah, big time. Thank you very much.
And smash the like button, right? Someone's supposed to say that?
Yes, smash the like, subscribe, all that stuff. But yeah, we're like number 13 in the Netherlands for fashion and arts or something like that. So pretty cool stuff. Anyway, we'll get back to that later. Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.